2 years ago, my mom killed herself. I don't really mind, though. She's a great mom, and I like her more now. My first mom was okay, but she couldn't really compete with her current self. She is the perfect mother. This first started about 3 years ago when I was out shopping with my first mother. We were walking back to the car as she was telling me about how my cousin had gotten some big scholarship in some big name school. This, of course, led to her nagging me about my grades and how I need to spend more time studying despite my 85% average. While we walked, I was, as usual, setting my mind to literally anything else until I saw her. I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I realized I was staring at a person who looked exactly like my mom, dressed head to toe in the exact same outfit. The only difference was her eyes, which were a brilliant shade of green rather than my mom's light brown. Her blue jeans, the pink and white blouse, even the brown flats she was wearing were exactly the same. I rubbed my eyes, wondering if I was seeing things, to which I found I was. The doppelganger was no longer there. I chalked it up to a lack of sleep. As the days went by, I was seeing her more and more frequently, to the point where she was even in my own home. My mother had taken notice of how weird I was acting and started to ask questions. At first, I tried to keep it a secret, hoping it would go away on its own. But I ultimately caved in after a few weeks and told her everything. She was oddly calm despite learning her daughter had hallucinations. Eventually, we went to a psychiatrist who prescribed me some antipsychotics. The change was almost immediate. I never saw the doppelganger again. And on top of that, the relationship between me and my mom had been stronger than ever. We were practically joined at the hip. She even inspired me to be a pediatrician, just like her. Hell, even her cooking was better. My dad seemed to like the change too. Before the pills, they weren't doing too well in their marriage, and divorce was definitely on the table. But now they seemed like the world's most ideal couple. Life was great, but Mom had one rule. Don't go into the basement, for whatever reason. She insisted that neither myself or my father were allowed to go down there at all. If we needed something, we would ask her and she would go and get it. Because of this odd reason, my dad and I conspired to get in there. Of course, we didn't think anything was wrong. We both had hypothesized that there was some kind of gift down there she was saving for Christmas. It was only a few days away, so we guessed that that's where she hid our presents. We decided it was our duty to sneak a peek at our gifts, so we devised a plan. Since my mom had the basement locked 24/7, my dad would take her out on a date, while I searched for the key. Once I found it, I would sneak down into the basement and find our gifts. After hours of searching, I had found the key taped to the bottom of her dresser. But as I did, I got a text from my father telling me that they were coming home. Of course I was crushed. I was so close to getting down there. So close to winning. I couldn't give up now. I ran to the bathroom and grabbed a bar of soap. I pressed the key into the bar, hoping the indent would be good enough. When I was finished, I put the key back and hid the soap in my room. I sat on the couch and turned on the TV, acting like that's how I spent the entire time while they were gone. The door opened a few minutes later with my parents. My dad seemed a bit drunk, but kept his composure well enough not to alert my mother. After the normal family dinner, I waited until they were both fast asleep before I took out the soap bar. I used some fast-drying clay to fill the indent on the bar before taking it out. My makeshift key looked pretty good, but I couldn't be sure if it would work or not. I just hope it didn't snap inside the lock. If so, not only would I not get in, but she would know I tried. I snuck out of my room towards the basement door and took out the key. This was the moment of truth. I slid the key inside the lock and... success. I opened the lock and removed my makeshift key before putting it back into my pocket. It looked worse for wear. I could see a clear crack in it, which would certainly break if I ever tried to use it again. I gently opened the door. The basement was dark. As I closed the door behind me, I flicked on the light switch to no avail. With a sigh, I pulled out my phone and used it as a light source while I descended the steps. As much of a horror fan as I am, it pains me to say I got chills down my spine with every creak of the floorboards as I treaded deeper into the basement. I had finally made it down the stairs before I flashed my phone around the room. It was the same basement I remember from a month ago, just darker. The room smelled foul, like rotten eggs and bad meat. I involuntarily coughed from the putrid smell. I shined my phone light around the basement to find what could possibly be smelling so bad. As I did, I saw it. A dark silhouette in the corner. As my eyes focused, I could slowly make out what it was. And what it was horrified me to my very core.